I'm pretty sure you have never seen anything like this. These are some of the craziest aviation incidents and some of the dangerous landing. Unfortunately, some of them got fatal crash and some of them made a terrible mistake, which could have been their last mistake. Alrighty, let's take a look. These passengers have no idea what about to happen next. They are rolling for takeoff, and that's the only sound nobody wanna hear as the passengers. That's gonna be sound of compressor stall coming from right engine. Oh boy, it's the sound of compressor stall, cause that means the flight is about to get a lot worse. This is the most terrifying thing you never wanna see as a passenger. They don't have single idea what about to happen next. They are about to land and see the visibility, it's pretty bad. Now pay attention on the runway outer markings. It's going toward the left. That means the plane is starting drifting left and is still descending. They never expect that. They're no longer over the runway. Can't believe they aren't screaming right now. They're about to hit the ground. Check it out. Now engine compressor stalled and it means situation is about to get a lot worse. He's on a runway and he's rolling for takeoff. Now pay close attention and see what happened next. And that's why you always have to make sure that your seatbelt is securely fastened for takeoff. Now pilot's gonna reject their takeoff due to the problem with the right engine. That's why rejected takeoff and go around is one of the most important maneuvers for the pilot. Now look at this airplane carefully, you'll be shocked. Experimental aircraft overran the runway and crashed into the driving car along Virginia Parkway at Aero Country Airport in McKinney, Texas. The people on board in a plane and in the car got minor injuries. Well, the actual reason behind that will come with the final NTSB preliminary report. Overall, the people were lucky. Is this the worst go-around ever? Now pay closely attention and see what pilot does wrong next. Now for safety maneuver go around, he applied full throttle and he goes airborne again. Now we're near the center line, kind of swerving off the runway. He thought that's not good enough. And his biggest mistake is, I don't know why he's pulling out the power even he is right up there on the trees. And then again he applies full power. Nevertheless his pitch is way too high. Apparently he's exceeded a critical angle of attack. Unfortunately they got stalled, spin and crashed. Now pay attention right here. What thing the student pilot does wrong? He forgets to use the rudder to keep the plane on the center line of the runway, and eventually he overcorrected to the right. Then he increases the power for execute a go round. He's trying to pull back on the elevators, but his airspeed is too low for go round, and he tries to steering with the yacht, but it's not gonna do anything. Instead of stopping, he just crashes into the hangar, but that was the goodwill that he was okay. It might be the world dangerous runway, there isn't any room for error. This is in cultural French, and the runway is only about 1700 feet long, and it has over an 18% gradient. There isn't no any facility of instrument approach procedures, and no lighting aids. Because of the steep Alps, there is really no margin for go around. So if you mess up the landing like this guy does, because you're either going too fast or too long, because of the slope and the condition of the runway, you can end up not having any option left except just crash into the snowbank. Now pay attention right here. Have you noticed something unusual underneath the engine? Yeah, it's a tow bar down there. It's stuck underneath the engines and they continue taxiing. And the fact is, the pilot didn't know about it. I didn't know how things like this happens. I mean, after the pushback truck got disconnected. And before you go for taxi, always make sure that ground equipment is clear. And then you can go for taxi. Oh boy, literally it could have been catastrophic. This didn't need to happen, and this is how departure stall come into play. He just tried to make the plane fly before he was ready. He doesn't have enough airspeed on the takeoff roll, and he's pulling back too much on the controls. Apparently you can see they're climbing too steep and flying so sluggy. Now they are exceeding critical angle of attack. He needs to push forward on controls to break the amount of AOA to reduce the angle of attack and gain some airspeed. Now the plane is starting rolling toward the left. At the time it was late to recover and unfortunately they got crashed. An airplane with 35 passengers on board landed without clearance, barely escaped crashing into two vehicles on the runway.
Do you realize you just landed that plane with two vehicles on the runway? You never called for clearance at all, sir. Yeah, we're making our calls. We're trying to figure out if the frequency's not working on our plane here at the airport. Well, you know what? Sunwing just landed. Everything where frequencies were perfect. So, but you just landed with 2 vehicles on the runway. That could have been catastrophic.
So what happened? It's late at night, tower is not in a service, and there is some vehicles out there on the runway clearance now. So it was late at night, the pilot assumed the runway was clear. Technically they didn't need landing clearance, so the field is uncontrolled when they land. They were lucky it didn't end with a disaster. Now pay attention right here, this Black Hawk helicopter make another airplane about a crash. Apparently helicopter is taking off and another aircraft is landing behind the helicopter. At the moment, helicopter creating a tons of downwash effect, and at the same time, Pilatus pilot performed a go-round, and he just barely escaped from disaster because of the rotor wash of the helicopter, especially a taking off helicopter. That was pretty bad shock with the Pilatus pilot. They were well lucky to get themselves out from that situation, because a rotor wash is a while, especially a Black Hawk helicopter. That's pretty challenging in the shock, keeping a straight level, rotor inputs. That must have been pretty bad shock for the pilots. Watch what happened when they try to land. They are unstabilized on approach because they are doing 300 knots below 10,000 feet. Multiple sink rate warnings. Despite that, they should have performed going around because they don't have considered stabilized approach criteria, and they are violating federal aviation regulations. They have touched down 50 knots faster than their normal airspeed within the 10 knots of tailwind that exceeded the aircraft limitations. Pilot applied full reversers without hard brakes. They don't want to slow at all once. One thing might have saved them spoilers or speed brakes, but those failed to deploy it. They could have stopped on the runway on time and they overshot the runway.